Welcome to Pax Europiana, the podcast about peace and prosperity in Europe. This time again from Schönbrunn after the small excursion to Belvedere this morning. It's the day of the speech of the status of the European Union of Ursula von der Leyen. An excellent speech, delivered very well, but unfortunately the German news channel, the most important news channel in Europe, Phoenix, in German-speaking area at least, and they have cut after half-time from the speech of the Commission President to go to the German election to present the tax reform and economic reform proposals of the possible future Chancellor Armin Laschet and his Minister of Economy, possible in the future after the German elections, Mr. Merz. And that shows everything. However, the European news channels actually treat the State of the Union speech at the European level. In the case there is an important national announcement, it is definitely switched to the national announcement, and 1 hour is enough for Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen. The debate was no longer covered. German elections matter more. And here we come to the main problem. We have to build a stronger European Union level in relation to the member states. At the speech of the European Union Commission President, at this national event, at this European level event, there must be all council members, all head of states must be obligatory there to listen. It must be a two-chamber event. Two chambers, like the Senate, the House of Representatives. The whole Congress is listening to the President. And so it must be both houses present, obligatory to listen to the words of the Commission President, who in many ways is the President of the European Union government. Of course, Mrs. von der Leyen behaves like a Prime Minister already without the authority, but I'm in favor of that one. Her problem is more she focuses on all these social issues which she thinks are giving the EU legitimacy because they are popular, like climate, like social issues, violence against women, and these are all extremely important topics, no doubt about. Everything, like from pension to medicine to health, is important, but it's not the core competence. And so by trying to gain legitimacy, by copying the prime ministers and being a super prime minister without the prime ministers endorsing her by not being present, she is somehow competing with them and neglecting her main duties. Her main duties, I repeat, is enlargement, is deepening, and is opening. And these are the tasks. These are the tasks. You can maybe also add security in terms of frontier security to that list. Yes, but Frontex was not the main priority. Strong borders is of course an important priority. Of course a strong Frontex matters. Of course deepening matters. She talked about the capital market union, the energy union, the digital union, the transport union, but much too less, much too less. And obviously what is also missing is then, and it was almost missing completely, the enlargement focus. Enlargement of Schengen, of Euro, of the EU itself. And that was completely missing, and that's what the Commission President has to do. And that's the main task. That's the mission statement. And she neglected that one. And obviously it's also a stronger European Union can only be built within Ukraine, Serbia, Kosovo, Bosnia, North Macedonia. This makes the EU stronger if all the countries are included, and they must be included. That's so logically. And I think it's quite clear for me. It's not more problems inside, but it's showing the world that we can solve problems, that we are competent, that we are a strong European Union. That is what matters ultimately. So enlargement, it's clear. Opening, obviously, opening to the world, opening to all Europeans, a pan-European labor market, Ukraine inside, also, of course, the Balkans inside, it's quite logically. And then, obviously, the trade agreements which are so essential. It is obviously so important to have this list of 10 trade agreements. I'm already tired of repeating them. But TTIP with America, Mercosur ratification, African Union partnership, the Gulf Cooperation Council, Pakistan free trade, Tajikistan free trade, the rest of the Central Asians, Indian free trade agreement, ASEAN with Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand. It's so simple. I mean, this work should have done 10 years ago. Of course, Juncker then after Brexit he got some things done with Japan, with Vietnam. Now, of course, that may be also attributed to Ursula. But nevertheless, some things got done. Yes, good. But where are the rest of the 10 missing big items? And that's, of course, a major problem. And then to talk, you know, the European Parliament, big applause. Slave labor cannot be imported to the European Union. Yes, okay, that's the main important topic of, as if they would all slave labor, the biggest problem of the world. I mean, all these fringe issues, yeah, it's fringe issues. Of course there are, this is very sad, you know, there exists climate change, there exists a lot of social problems in the world. We cannot solve all and everybody with a trade agreement, and without a trade agreement we cannot solve any of them. Because they will continue to do their things down there in India or in Pakistan, like we don't want it. If we don't engage with the world, if we don't open our markets, if we don't offer our standards to the world in exchange for marketing opening in a reasonable approach, yeah, we will have nothing to say. We will be bypassed. And I mean, Laschet was very clear on that one, that we will be bypassed because we are so late and so slow. I think he was very good in his statement, which I saw later then. Yes, and I have made already many of these videos here, and this is the witness of a civilization which was not reforming. It was overtaken by events. It was not ready for adopting to modernity, and it evaporated. And I really don't hope that the EU is on that way, because our enemy in Russia wants us to disappear. You know, that's also one of the big problems. We don't, you know, we are not ready to contain our enemies, Russia, Iran, and of course to some extent China, to a lesser extent. And then we somehow focus on all these issues which are also important, but they're domestic violence we cannot solve at the EU level. You know, climate change is important. You know, of course it exists, yeah, and it's there. And the environment is important. Pension crisis is important. Care of the elderly, everything matters. The question is priorities in public policy. You cannot just at the EU Commission level attack all the issues. You have to focus on what you really can achieve. Openness, enlargement and integration of the markets. This is the task. And the rest, there are also prime ministers, there are also national governments to do things. Yeah? And especially when it comes to health, education, medical, some things have to be better coordinated. I'm fully in favor. But also must be the budget for that, must be the competences for that, and we must be more serious. If we are not serious, we are disappearing. That is what I'm worried about. Anyhow, I made my point here. I think it's getting very clear, and no better symbolism than this Castello of the Schönbrunn emperors, of the Habsburg emperors, disappeared. No, they're still around, some of the family, but as a power in Central Europe, disappeared. And the European Union will not have the same fate, because I hope somebody listens to my videos. And anyhow, I will make a more detailed assessment in my podcast now, where I go step by step for all the issues Mrs. von der Leyen has raised in her speech today. And I hope that in the second part of her presidency, she will have learned what it means to be Commission President and adopt to the real priorities: enlargement, openness, and the integration of the markets. And that's basically the completion of the Capital Market Union, Energy Market Union, Digital Union, Transport Union. This is very important. The free trade agreements and the enlargement, especially for Albania, North Macedonia, Montenegro, our NATO allies, and also to lead the EU into NATO. There was a good focus on that one. That was really good. Yes, some aspects good, but a much better second term after Corona would be very helpful to allow a second mandate for Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen, which she certainly wants to have, and she definitely needs to improve her performance to get it. Good, so far so good. Thanks a lot for listening. More to come from Pax Europiana.